A little bit. My purpose this afternoon is really to share with you some research that I undertook with my colleague in Singapore. I actually live in Singapore, I teach in Singapore. I run a program for nurses, a full-time degree program. And so the participants in this study are all students who at the end of the first year did a palliative care module. So this program has been ongoing since 2011, and each year at the end of the program the students are asked to do a critical incident review. And these critical incidents review are a 2,500 word essay, and the topics are chosen by the students based on incidents that they encountered during their palliative care 2-week experience in various hospitals in Singapore. Some of the incidents were quite disturbing in terms of poor practice, in terms of what they saw, particularly breaking bad news, people being given wrong information, and sometimes no communication took place. So it kind of bothered me a little bit. So the background to this research is that I was really worried about the students encountering things in practice. So I wanted to make the preparation for the practice as useful as possible. And so the focus was communication. So we identified that communication was a really big problem. But when you look into it a little bit more and look at the background, so the story is that the students had never encountered palliative care practice in hospices before. In their 3-year diploma course, they have never really encountered palliative care. They've done last offices and laying people out on the physical things. So the courses were very competent, clinically competent, but psychologically they were very unaware. I'll share with you a question. I was talking about developing a therapeutic relationship with a patient. And this student said to me, how do you begin a relationship with a patient? And I found it very, very worrying kind of question. How do you start a relationship with a patient? But when I observed nurses, I saw that they went along, and Singapore is a very rich country in many ways. Technologically, they're very rich. They have computers everywhere, so there's no need to talk to the patient. You can just go along.
Like a machine.
Machine. You have machines. We have robots. Yeah. In the hospital, the robot comes along. The robot, he comes down. The robot delivers the meals. The robot goes back. The robot goes in the lift, and I'm at the back of the lift, and the robot traps me at the back of the lift and says, "Robot, you must let me out." So very technological. So what we have is a kind of dilemma in bedside nursing. So as you can see, I'm kind of older in my years. I've been a nurse educator for 40 years. I'm very old-fashioned. I like, hello, how are you? See this woman I've never met before. I met all the people. But when I do this, people do that. I didn't teach you what to do. We do this. Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Hello.
Thank
Yeah, I'm very good. And this kind of thing was worrying me. So this research is based on this idea of theory to practice. So my idea was this, very simply. I will do lots and lots of communication, gaming, playing games, role play, videos, the most advanced forms of communication I know. So I've done the advanced communication course in England, and I wanted to practice it in Singapore. So we did a lot of this, and prepared all the students for this practice where they would use their communication skills. But like all good research, it's not quite a happy ending, okay? Let's see. Background, death and dying are very stressful. The literature is full of research about students who are worried, anxious, caring for dying patients. The aim of this research was to highlight the need to prepare students for clinical work, and particularly to focus on, these are the students here, they're all very happy, they're very nice, I like it in Singapore. The students are very, very hard-working. They work extremely hard, much, much harder than Manchester students. And they're very respectful, very respectful. Dr. John, Dr. John, Dr. John. My students, not quite the same in Manchester. So I like Asia because in Asia the students are nice, they work. Huh?
Do they call you Johnny?
Oh, no.
Johnny.
Dr. John all the time. So if we look at the worldwide hospice palliative care initiatives throughout, okay, the lighter ones are where you see more palliative care. The darker, approaching integration. So there must be some kind of thing here. No, there isn't. Okay, so in Singapore, quite well developed. In other areas, it's spread. So the context is Singapore is ranked 18th in the world, second in Asia in terms of quality of death rankings. So it's up and coming. Singapore is an emerging nation in terms of developing palliative care. Started in the 80s. Students receive approximately 6 hours of palliative care education. Not very much. Not very much. There is a specialist postgrad courses for people. This was a descriptive qualitative research. I'm a qualitative researcher. I do ethnography. Okay? So Hanan's figures and all these things, Cronbach and all these things, I don't understand at all. No, it's just numbers. So, but actually, when I write this paper up, I'm going to write it as mixed method, because it's actually mixed method. So those of you researchers will see, John, this is mixed method. I know, but I started off qualitative because I'm comfortable with qualitative. So those of you researchers, stick with what you know. Stick with comfortable. I'm comfortable with qualitative, interpretive research. Yes.
Thank you for that advice. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Stick with what you know. It's better then, always if you stick with what you know. If you don't know, and many teachers stand and they talk and you know they don't know, well, I made them up. They came from the module, I made them up. So, not a validated tool. What does it mean if it's a validated tool? How do you get a tool validated? I don't know. I'm honest. These questions came from the module itself. So when we developed the module, these are the questions that became part of the teaching. So in a sense, the teaching for the clinical practice, these were the questions. You know, I said palliative care is focused on care of the patient. No, it's actually about patient and family. So it seems quite straightforward, but actually palliative care ends when the patient dies. No. So these are the responses I was looking for. So these were the responses that we got at the beginning in part one. Students had a very vague idea, but they're also very clever. So when you give them a questionnaire, they don't write what they think, they write what they think you want to know. That's what they say. So I discovered that. So these are the questions that, you know, like, palliative care is about care of the dying? Yes. No, it's not. It's wrong. No. Palliative care is about living with life-threatening illness. It's not about dying. Of course, it's about dying. This much is about dying. But most of it is about living. And so there's a big message. So they all say, oh yeah, it's about dying. You know, I thought it's about dying, isn't it? This is why I'm worried. It's about dying. No, it's not about dying. It's about living. It's much more scary. It's very, very scary talking to someone who's dying. When somebody's actually dying, they're not talking very much anyway. They're just dying, and you can get on with it. But then you have got these people, called the family and relatives, you have to talk to them. Now that's tricky. These people are tricky because they're not dying. But that's the complexity of palliative care. Good palliative care. Not care of the dying palliative care. It's only one part. Okay. So the interview data, this is where I'm in my comfort zone now. Interviews. Talking to people. These are the questions. Any previous experience? The literature suggests that people with personal loss experiences tend to have a more better attitude towards it. How do you feel about palliative care before the module? Your previous attitude makes a difference. What did you think before? Most of them were scared because they never worked in a hospice. They never come across people who were dying, or they never talked to anyone. They never sort of like, am I dying? I don't know. What am I supposed to say? I'll ask the doctor. That kind of thing. What were people's main anxiety? Was talking to people who were dying. What was your least positive experience of palliative care? Being with people who are suffering. So most of the incidents, when students reported at the end, is about poor pain control, which is, as you would expect, because the Aitchison study, which is a multi-country study in Asia, says that people in Asia are so afraid of using morphine and diamorphine. So I met all these, consultants, palliative care, and I say, how much diamorphine do you say? No diamorphine. No, we're Asian. No diamorphine. We don't like diamorphine. Huh?
Most of Aquilus is not available, not used by these Asian countries.
Yes, that's right. This is what the Aitchison study is saying. You don't use morphine. It's the same in parts of Eastern Europe. In Russia, it's the same. Different reasons, but it's the same.
Typically, are using here both close and open-ended question in the same question. Is it not conflict in the gap analysis
as quantitative and qualitative data, okay, those of the scoring as analysis. So, but any question or is that one question?
Possibly, yes, it could. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, limitations, closed questions. This type of interviewing is conversational, so it's what Lincoln's called conversational. So if you have a conversation with somebody, and you know, you okay, you're comfortable, have a conversation. I want to elicit your real, what you really think. So conversational style means you have to use open and closed questions simultaneously. So some questions are closed, some questions are open. So when you're doing ethnography, ethnographers don't necessarily have a structured interview like this is the interview, now we talk. We have a conversation, and that conversation is an interview. Okay, so when you're doing ethnographic research, I'm washing up, I'm in the sluice, and having a chat, and actually it's interviewing. I'm interviewing this person, but we're not, you don't know you're being interviewed, but actually this is an interview, it's an informal interview. So in that case, yeah, it does explain a little bit. So, and also it gives away the idea that I'm not bounded by science, so I'm not bounded. So rightly or wrongly, the most interesting thing is the richness of the data. I'm interested in rich data. I'm not terribly interested in the technique by which I obtain it. But I will be absolutely honest and say, I obtained this because I went in the sluice and I said to this person, you know, you left that patient to the end of your shift. Why did you do that? Or because I wanted to spend more time. But when I was observing, I thought, that nurse is terrible. She's left that patient to the end of the shift. What a terrible nurse. But she's not a terrible nurse. She's a very kind nurse. But had I not had that interview, I would have reported the data that the nurse is terrible for neglecting the patient and doing the patient at the end of the shift. So you need to have that dual approach to the methodology. But it's on the one hand, it appears quite simple and unscientific. Actually, it's very scientific when you look at conversational analysis. And you don't just look at the words, you look at the gaps, the hesitations, and so on. You can see I'm a qualitative researcher because this, you know, sort of demographic data, I mean, it's in the paper, it's a lot more complex than this. I've got the ethnicity of people, their experiences and so on. So what I'm saying here is that obviously there's more females because it's nursing, there's the ages, the amount of experience, very little. Most of the nurses reflected the composition of ethnic groups in Singapore, 60% Chinese, 20-30% Malay, 20% Indian, and mixed groups. Made a difference, made a difference. The analysis of the interview data suggested that people thought palliative care was about dying, which is normal. This is normal. I thought it was just about comfort and pain control. Thought it was about waiting for people to pass. Yes. I thought it was about keeping people comfortable. That's all you need to do. Keep them comfortable, give them drugs. They don't even give them good drugs. They don't even use, you know, the things in other places we give. So it's a very fine line. With palliative care, it's about, you know, you're using diamorphine. Why are you using diamorphine? What is the point of diamorphine? Why are we giving people heroin at the end of life? Well, because people are in pain and it works. You know, recently I fell off my bicycle. I went into the ED in Singapore and she said, I give you some non-steroidal antidepressants. I said, no. I give you some tramadol. No, don't give me tramadol. Tramadol is a dirty drug. I hate tramadol. Is awful. I don't use tramadol. It's a chemistry set. So this young doctor says, what do you want? I went, morphine. She went, you want morphine? She said, intravenous. I said, intravenous. I don't get my senior. Oh, she does come up. Okay. She gave it me. Great. My wife came in. She said, I've never seen you so relaxed. What's the matter with you? I said, morphine. It works. But it makes a difference. The prescribing habits make a difference. Okay? So keeping people comfortable, it's not just bumping them off and giving them heroin and things like that. Okay? Heroin is cocaine, you know, and morphine mixed together. No, no, right? Okay? Alright, so the lack of confidence in communication skills was the biggest finding. Okay? The reported findings were, I didn't know what to say, I didn't know what to do, I felt impotent. I was stupid. I just didn't speak. I didn't know what to do. I don't feel confident about my communication skills. I'm nervous about what I should say. I'm worried about saying the wrong thing. Communication is my biggest anxiety. Talking to somebody. But we did all this in the preparation. We did it all. I went through it. I had experts in. I had doctors, palliative care consultants. I had myself on the role play and everything else. They still, it doesn't matter. They still said this. Feeling emotionally unprepared, they said. I was emotionally unprepared. What do you mean not emotionally unprepared? We spent a whole 2 days doing a workshop on communication. Role play with facilitators. No, still felt my main anxiety is becoming too involved. Too involved? I mean, that for 2 weeks. But I'm not very mature about death. My main worry is about talking to family members. So dying people were okay. Family members, big problem. Big problem. After the placement, hard to prepare yourself. I felt there was a need to be more sensitive, but ready but not really prepared. I was still anxious. I wanted to need to know how to communicate with patients. You would think they didn't have a preparation. You would think. I was just, I had been doing palliative care for years and years and years. Communication is what I do. I do fear in a hat. I do very interesting games. I do kind of like fun things. But sometimes the fun things people don't know. Actually, they say, "Oh, I remember you did this game, with the, the cake and the chocolate." I said, "Yeah, great. Do you remember what the session was about?" No. No. It was good fun though. Had a nice time. Very nice time. I didn't want to hurt the patient's feelings and so on. Some of the things though, when you look into it a bit more detail, actually some of the things they encountered is because people weren't told the diagnosis. But in traditional Chinese tradition, you don't tell people. You don't tell them. If the relatives say, "Don't tell him he's got cancer," don't tell him. There's no question, no discussion, don't tell him. Don't tell him. Okay? You don't tell him. Filial piety, don't tell him. I'm the oldest son, don't tell my father. Okay, we won't do it. And so the student is then confused, the patient doesn't know, but the relatives do know, so I don't know what to say. So what do I do with the patient? I don't have anything to do with them. Because I might say the wrong thing, they say, "Have I got cancer?" I don't know, can't say. You mean I have, but you're not saying. So this is what happens, people don't know what to say. So Singapore culture is very odd in the sense that even when you're in a hospice, people still think, "Okay, no, I can't have cancer, it's just the hospice." So while you're in the hospice, it's cheaper. It's cheaper to go in hospice than to go in hospital. Hospitals cost more money than hospital. So I'll go in the hospice, it's okay. My son said go in the hospice is cheaper for me. So go in the hospice. I've got cancer. No, I'm just here because of the money. It's strange. What nurses did find was they developed a greater understanding of empathy and compassion, because we talked about empathy and compassion all the time. Well, not all the time, but a lot, because in palliative care this is important. Empathy is extremely difficult to do anywhere, but especially in palliative care it's essential. So we talked about. So they said, "Yeah, I understand what empathy. I saw empathy. I saw nurses being empathic." They said empathic because they never said empathic. So we learned this word empathic. So they went, I know how to be empathic, Dr. John. I know empathic. The word around empathic. So they said, "Yeah, I felt humble." So these are kind of interesting things. Sorry. I learned to live in the moment. This is a lovely statement. This student, she was a mature student. She was with this person that was dying and kind of had some kind of spiritual experience, I think. Well, this is good, She witnessed the marriage of a person who was dying, things that they'd never encountered. So, what are the educational implications? So in other words, so what question, okay? The so what, interesting, let's see. So information giving is okay, but doesn't replace experiential learning. So in the education of students for palliative care placements or for palliative care experience, it's very important to have some experiential component, something where they can practice communication. Okay, so we did this. So information giving, yes, we told them about hospice care and palliative care and definitions of care and so on and so on. But the big focus was communication, experiential learning, doing things, gameplay. Knowledge is power, but learning human skills is about exercising the power. So it's learning, it's going back to that kind of educational technique where, okay, I don't want you to just listen, I want you to do. So group work, group games, role play, etc. And the F word, feelings. So feelings, how are you feeling? It's very difficult. It's about how are you feeling? And people look at you and say, how are you feeling? They go, and they're trying to work out what they think I want to hear. I said, how do you feel now? I feel confused. Oh, good, good. So it was positive to say the truth, but the truth is very hard to say. So it was about getting to the patient and saying how to the patient, how do you feel? And say fine. You know what fine stands for? Oh, well. Yes. Oh, sorry, fine. Fed up, insecure, neurotic, and totally exhausted. Or you can say the F word, very rude word. Something, insecure, neurotic. So when you say, how are you? I'm fine. So I people say to me, I'm fine. Not fine. They're not fine. How are they feeling? So the trick was to try and get the students to find out how the patient really feels. So we use storyboards. Storyboards are where you write down a story about what happened to you in life as a nurse, and then talk about what happened. A bit like the reviews of the incidents that people wrote about, how angry, upset they felt when the doctor. One nurse, she spoke Tamil. So this patient, the doctor said, tell this woman, tell her what. I'm going to tell you what to tell her. Okay? Tell her that she's got pancreatic cancer and she'll be dead in 2 or 3 weeks. What? Tell her. I can't tell her. Tell her, I can't tell her. Tell her she'll be dead in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe more. And so the student had to tell the woman she was dying. And the woman had no idea. Only because she spoke the language. So the goal in palliative care should be to develop a therapeutic relationship. So out of this research comes a set of principles about how to go forward. So the take-home message is, acknowledge the cultural challenges. The culture is very important. I've discovered that. It's taken me 5 years. The Singaporean culture is the biggest challenge for good education. So consider the influence of context. So the context in which it takes place, hospice, hospital, home. In a patient's home, it's slightly different, okay? So empower students, but also didn't know what to say. It was my fault. I told her. So it's my fault. That's the thing. It's her fault, the student's fault, not the doctor's fault. It's not the doctor. No, it must be me. So that was a lot of that. The take-home message is, it's not so different in the UK, Richard, right? I'm not painting a picture of Singapore being strange and unique. No. I'm sure it's like it in many other countries. I don't think it's weird at all. The key issue is to focus not just on information giving, but the development of human skills, and then how to have a safety net for helping the students afterwards. So using role play and all these things is okay, but still, it didn't actually work. Even though I spent all this time doing it, it didn't actually work that well. Because the students were raw, they'd just been exposed to these new interpersonal skills, and it wasn't enough for them. Okay, so maybe next time. Okay, thank you very much.